hot now.
Hey guys, welcome back, and I'm deeply honored to have the Jeremy Lee of Sports Cards Live here, and I've been really looking forward to this, just simply because I simply love your podcast. Sports Cards Live is something that I would say is one of the most informative podcasts are out there, but discussed in a way where it's very, I guess, very like palatable for the everyday collector, and it's so refreshing in a sense that we don't have to complicate things, but still get such a rich depth and insight of the industry and how everything is when it comes to cards. So I'm very happy that you're here.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for inviting me. Appreciate being a part of it. And you've been a loyal viewer really from early on.
Pretty much early on.
And I've always appreciated that. I've been grateful for your time, really. So thank you for having me.
No, it's just going back of just it's what you do and also how you do it that gravitate me. And I hear a lot of different other podcasts and everything, but I think what you do is just, it's, to me, it's like, I would say at least the best podcast for sports cards in Canada, at least. You know, if not even more than that. But honestly, amazing work you do.
Thank you.
So we'll explain kind of the history and kind of like where did it get to from you being a collector slash vendor into a podcast host or a media personality now. So how's the genesis of Sports Cards Live happened?
It started in February 2020. The pandemic was just starting, and there was fear that the National Card Convention in the States was going to be canceled, and somebody started a virtual card show on Instagram. And I sent him a DM. I said, "Oh, come on Sunday at 2:30 or whatever."
Right.
So I laid out all my cards on my dining room table, and I went live, and I showed them, and I did some deals. And that was my first taste of live streaming.
Right.
Then I'm like, I want to do more of that. So I wanted to sell some vintage hockey cards. So I went to a vintage hockey card Facebook group, and I DM'd the mods, and I said, I want to sell some cards, but I don't want to coin and scan and message. I just want to live stream. Can I live stream to your, which I think Facebook had recently enabled?
Right.
They said, sure, but you can only show cards up to 1989. I said, no problem. So I went and I did that, and I was live for probably an hour 45, I think it was. Sold a bunch of cards. I just sat there, here's this card, I've had it since then, $300. Here's this, and I got some feedback after. People were like, you should do that again. That was awesome. I was like, well, okay. So now I've got some modern cards I want to sell.
Right.
And there's like a million modern hockey card Facebook groups, right?
Yeah.
So how do you pick one? And I couldn't. So I thought maybe I'll start a new Facebook group where you just live stream sales. Whatnot before whatnot, okay?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Boy, did I miss that one, right?
You were doing it before it was cool.
I was doing it before whatnot even thought about it. Anyway, so I went to Facebook and I locked up the name Sports Cards Live for a Facebook group, and I thought, well, that's a good name. Let's check YouTube. Went to YouTube. The name was available. I locked it down, and then I wasn't sure what I was going to do. A few weeks go by, and I decided, well, I'm just going to live stream a conversation with my buddy Carvin Chung, who is well known as the inventor of Exquisite and the Cup. I called him. I said, Carvin, do you want to come live with me on Saturday, April the 18th? And he's like, sure, why not? I said, okay, great. So that was my first episode of Sports Cards Live. It was actually episode 2. Episode 1 was just me talking about what I thought I would do with this channel. I don't remember what I said. And Carvin came on with me, and we'd known each other for 14 years at that point, or 12
Same.
years.
I knew when he was a vendor here in Toronto.
Right. Exactly. He's a great guy, right? So he came on with me, and I chose him because I knew that I could appeal to hockey card, but I also wanted to. I'd recently got about 3 years ago really got into basketball, and I wanted to make sure that I grabbed that audience as well. And I knew that having the inventor of Exquisite would help me achieve that. So he came on, and it kind of worked. And then I'm like, okay, well, thanks, Carv. Great show. I shouldn't say great show. It was my first interview ever. I've done like 480 live streams now, and at this point. But anyway, I'm like, well, I guess I gotta find someone else to interview next time, and I did, and I haven't stopped now, and here we are over 3.5 years later.
Amazing. what makes your show great, as many people have attested to, it's just the content you bring and the guests that you've been able to have. It's just like I've seen, like, when I could hear Brian Gray talk all day, and then insights from like Dr. James Beckett and all that. Like, it's just the phenomenal guests, or when Ken Golden gets excited and all that. It's just phenomenal, like, guests and content you bring. What I really particularly enjoy is the line of questioning that you do, how you phrase certain things, and keeping that journalistic integrity. That kind of, to me, sets you apart in your approach of asking questions. Was this something that you just, like, you learned, or is this kind of like evolved over time? Like, how did you kind of get your style of questioning?
I have zero journalistic experience. I've never been an interviewer. I certainly am now. I'm going to answer this by tipping my cap to my parents, my family. I think I was just kind of raised right to respect people, and to I also want to. I kind of demand that my audience also respects my guests. I don't care. I don't care if you don't like them. I can respect that you don't like them, but don't bring your negativity to my I don't want to say my chat. It sounds so possessive, but to the chat within my live streams. Right.
The toxicity, get that out of here.
I don't want to see that. So if there's a viewer who doesn't like one of my guests, and I've had very polarizing guests over the years, I don't tolerate it, and because it's not a good vibe. I'm all about good vibes.
Right.
I'm all about promoting the hobby, not pooping on it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And not everybody's going to appeal to everybody, so that took me a bit to learn. But really, my mission is to. And I say this to all my guests before we go live. I want the audience to get to know you, and I want you to be comfortable. My job, my number one priority is that my guest is comfortable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so I never want to make them uncomfortable. I will ask them challenging questions. I don't only lob softballs.
That's right.
I do ask some difficult questions here and there, but I'm not out to attack my guests.
Exactly. It's not malicious. Yeah.
And that's what's enabled me to. I can, without sounding too braggadocious, I would say that, I'll put my guest list up against anybody's, and I think that it's not even close. But that's because the who's who of the hobby, the top people in the hobby, and by that I just mean like the people that run the biggest companies, the people that run the biggest shows, they're willing to come on my show because they know that they will be respected by me and by the audience.
Right. And I definitely see that appreciation from your guests, and also as a viewer as well too. Like, once again, there's a standard being upheld there. What resonates with me the most, and it just sticks to my head and my heart, is like when you always talk about just collect what you love. Collect what you like to collect. Don't let a price tag determine what you want or what other people want. Like, how do you kind of just want to encourage that? Because to me, that brings back the innocence and the joy and the fun of the hobby, which I find is much lost, especially in a lot of online content. It's too much of who to invest, what to invest, buy now, sell later. It becomes like just like trading commodities, right? So what do you want to share in terms of really focus on the love of the hobby, love of the card, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. I love how you even just said that. There's an infinite number of ways to approach this hobby and be a part of it, whether it's as even just as a collector, or as a dealer, or as a flipper, or as having an LCS. So really, I love learning how people approach the hobby, and you can approach this hobby with only dollar signs in mind, where these are just widgets and you don't have any nostalgic or emotional connection to them. I have nostalgic and emotion. You know how people often say, well, his cards are always worth more than mine well, I'm kind of like that. Like I put more value on my cards than your cards. Why? Because I have that emotional connection to my cards. Right. Some of my cards will never see the light of day in my showcase at the Expo. Right. But the ones that do, some of them have been in my PC for years, and I assign more value to them because I've got the financial value, and then I've got the nostalgic and or emotional value that I tack on. Right. Now that's for me, at my prerogative to do, doesn't mean that the person who's looking at it will agree, and that's totally fine. I respect that. But I also have the right not to sell my card for what you offer me.
Right.
Now, it's not all about the money. I have cards that I am probably never going to sell, maybe in my twilight years, that, you know, you could offer me a ton of money for, but they mean so much to me, and I'm not going to take double comp. You know, the word comp, we use it so much, and you kind of have to now. I get that.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, we're on live stream. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
so, so you know, I don't want to. You know, I don't. Ever since Beckett Price Guide came out,
Yeah.
I remember being. It's probably 1987, 88, whatever it was. I remember being in my bedroom in my parents' house, and all of a sudden, I got my first Beckett magazine, and my cards had value. There was a printed magazine that told me what these cards were worth. I remember that realization point.
Right.
And so I think a lot of us go through that now, or you know, we're just so conditioned to the fact that cards have values, and there's a lot of young people, a lot of old people too, that are, you know, this is a way to make money.
Yeah.
But it's also a hobby. It's a hobby that you can make money on, but it's also a hobby where, you know, you can just love your cards. And like you said to me earlier, you know, I can love a $10 card as much as a $1,000 card.
Right.
And that's what I don't think everybody in the hobby gets that, but collectors get that.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It's just I feel sad because it's kind of like, even with the younger kids now, it's also hard for them to get into sports cards, just because like things are like priced out of their, you know, whatever allowance that they get and everything, and if it's all lost into, once again, just the joy of able to even opening a pack, you know, and you know, it's one of those things where, you know, I hopefully like that people kind of touch back and say, what is this, you know, really about, and what's important to you. You know, I have a whole bunch of, because I'm a big Michael Jordan collector. I like the 90s stuff, and you know, I mean, I'll have cards there that are literally $5 to $10, but it's not the price tag. It's just because it meant something to me during that, because I loved Michael Jordan growing up.
Yeah.
It's wearing the shoes, you know what I mean, kind of thing. So to me, it's those things that stick with me, is that joy.
And that's one of the approaches, is being a player. It's probably the most popular approach to the hobby, is being a player collector.
Yeah.
And there are people that want every card of their player, from the dime cards to the 5-figure cards.
Yeah.
And the dime cards are as high of a priority on their want list as the $1,000, $10,000 cards.
Right.
And I think that's so cool, because a 10 cent or a dollar or a $10 card still is so important to them.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's a collector.
Yeah.
And also, you know, there's people that will overpay for cards because, and I'm not saying go take advantage of that. What I'm saying is, a collector that needs a card. We say, my wife sometimes, like, it's not a is it a need or a want? I'm like, sometimes it's a need. Like, so
we call it A, call it B.
Right. So when your desire to own a card in your own hobby brain goes from being a want to a need, I know that you're a collector and you're probably not going to. So here's another situation, Bromf. Like, if I'm selling a card at a card show, which I really only sell cards at the two expos here, the one in Edmonton every year, I will sell a card for less money to somebody who super wants and needs it than somebody who is going to just take it and maybe, you know, flip it. Like,
Right.
I love when a card that I've owned for a long time, that I'm now at a point where I'm willing to move it, where it's going to another good home.
Absolutely.
It's like, these aren't your children, but they are still things that we have love for.
Right.
And
Right.
so I like to find a good home for cards. Now, I have cards I don't care where they go because they didn't mean anything to me, but cards that mean something to me, I want to see them go to a good home.
It's good to go home.
Yeah.
Good home,
Yeah.
for sure. Do you actually have any kind of like from like a 10 cent or $5 card that's kind of like, hey, I like it because I like it, and it's not something that I would like
Yeah, I
care
mean,
what it's worth? Like, is there any particular one that you have?
in my PC,
Yeah.
I mean, there are some. There's one set in particular that I've been collecting since 2015 when it came out, and it's a parallel patch set from 2014-15 Upper Deck Masterpieces.
Okay.
And it's a patch set parallel. Every card's out of 25 or 35, and the high number's out of 15. Now,
I think you've shown that at You have like on your podcast. That
I've
you've
probably
done that. Yeah.
shown pickups here and there, yeah, because I pick my. So it's a 153 card set, which is a weird number, but
Right.
they didn't have memorabilia for all players in the 160 card set, so it's 153. So there are some cards in there that I think the most I paid for a card was like $600 for like the Gretzky Oiler Game Used Patch set, Game Used Patch card. But then there's a card of like a no-name player that is like $15.
Right.
Well, do I love the no-name player as much as the Gretzky? No, but it's a need. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it's one of very few cases in my approach to the hobby where I need a card of a player that I don't care about because I want that set. I love the set. It's like my number one hobby pursuit. So I don't know if that's kind of what you're getting at, but that's sort of
It's just one of the things that just the cards that you like. It's irrelevant of the worth. You know what I mean, kind of thing. You know?
I have cards like for example, Teemu Selanne's rookie card from 1991 Upper Deck. It's what's it worth? People won't pay the shipping on it raw, so it's not worth anything. But Teemu is the guy. He's my all-time favorite professional athlete, and that's a card that when I opened my card shop. I had a card shop from 91 to 94, and that was like the product that was super hot when we opened the store, or just shortly after we opened. And the Selanne rookie was huge because I was in Winnipeg with my card shop, and I love that card. Sergei Fedorov's Young Gun from 1991 is another example.
Right.
I got lots of cards I love, man.
Speaking of 91, that's kind of where my card is in the sense of 91-92 Upper Deck basketball, the inaugural Upper Deck basketball.
Yeah. Dikembe?
Not Dikembe, but the Jordan hologram.
Oh yeah.
That was the first card that I still have it. It's what really got me hooked into collecting. That was my gateway.
Really? That hologram was?
That hologram was. I pulled it myself. I still have it. It's something that stuck with me, and it's what, like $8 to $10, right now.
It's another one of those cards that I don't know that people will pay shipping on because there's so many of them.
Exactly.
Right? But I know a lot of people. I've heard the story, probably 5 times where that card is nostalgic to so many people.
Right, yeah.
And you're in that group now.
It is. It's like the first insert I pulled, because that really was kind of the only insert in that set, really.
Yeah.
And, it's the first Jordan insert I've ever pulled, and that was it. I'm done, and now, 30-something odd years later. So.
Yeah, 32 years later, Here we are doing a live stream on the show floor at the Sport Card Expo, the biggest Sport Card Expo ever.
It is, and it's buzzing. I find it for Friday. It's
great.
It's buzzing.
It's been a great show.
Anyways, I want to thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure to able to sit down and chat with you. And once again, guys, check out Sports Car Live every Saturday. Well, not going to be this time around.
Almost every Saturday.
Yeah.
Live streaming on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, but he does like I said, my opinion, and best podcast out there. So
thanks, man.
So definitely give Jeremy a follow. Anything you want to mention? Any socials or anything that?
I'm on Instagram. I am jlee_sportscardslive, and I live stream to my Twitter, which is sportscardsliv1. Twitter, Facebook group, Facebook page, YouTube, Twitch. I don't think I have any viewers on Twitch, though.
That's okay. That's the next step.
Next step.
That's
where you can find me.
Cool. And if you're not here today, but you're here tomorrow on Sunday, feel free to pay him a visit. He does have a booth here.
733, booth 733.
Feel free to say hi and grab some cards off of Jeremy.
Thanks, man.
All right, and we will continue with our coverage tomorrow with Coach Co as well, too. So we'll see you tomorrow, and have a wonderful night.
Got to throw up the horns.